My name is Marty. I'm here with Collider, and I am here with one of the gentlemen who probably had all of television on their edge, probably over within the last couple months, with him and his love life. So I'm gonna let him just introduce himself.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Clay Gravesande. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and let's have some fun.
I got some fun. I got some questions for you. I got some questions. So Clay, Love is Blind, season 6.
Yep.
By this time, everyone's watched it. If they haven't, they probably went back, they've watched it again, they've analyzed it, they've hated you, they fell in love with you, they probably hate you again, they probably got a lot of questions. So we're just gonna get into all of that leading up to, um, and really I wanna know where we're at now with it. Cause I know going through an experience like that, you had to walk away with it with just, more than what we know. So give us some background on how we even got on the show, because that was a big thing too, of like how y'all ended up so willing to sit in these pods and fall in love with someone that you didn't lay eyes on.
Yeah, so they typically recruit through IG and LinkedIn. They actually contacted me through IG. So I got in the DMs, saw the message. I think they pretty much said that this is the Charlotte single project. So I didn't even know it was Love is Blind. Got on a call with them, kept them on moving to the next stage. Eventually did a Zoom call where I think they saw what I looked like. And, that after that kind of ramped up a little bit for me. I said that on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, but I do feel like the path was like very laid out for me to be on Love is Blind. I just feel like the questions, like I was really vibing well with the producers. So I didn't really know what I was signing up for, honestly. Of course, I know the concept of, okay, potentially you can find a wife there, but they always kind of pitched it as an experiment to me. And then I feel like when I got there, you guys got to see what was on camera.
Had you been involved in anything like this before, as far as like any kind of anonymous, either reality or just dating experiment before?
Never. I never been any part of any type of data experiment.
Okay, so what I thought was interesting about the show, especially like on the pod part, they showed really a lot of people, even AD with multiple people that they
Yeah.
were dating. They only focused on you with AD. Was there anybody else that you were talking to
Yeah,
throughout?
I was talking to other people, but it wasn't of anything of significance that would probably move the storyline. Whereas AD was talking to Matt, and Matt had something to do with, the overall storyline. Plus, it was a
Mhm.
little juicy, so they put it in there. My other dates was like real regular, like real good conversations, cool. I thought I was doing my thing in the pods, but they kind of killed me for that.
So yeah, I was like, they must have had either a real connection or, like you said, the ones you had before, like just lackluster. And they saw where that one was going with AD. So I guess the editing did what it was supposed to do.
Well, AD is like, I also said like AD is really popular amongst the women lounge. So
Mm-hmm.
like honestly, it's like one of those situations where it's like, are you talking to AD? Oh, we're not talking to you no more. So once me and AD were kind of like set, which was like I would say like day 4. I know like so the pods is 9 days in terms of when you actually get to see when you actually propose. Day 10 is where you actually see your partner. So I would say day 4, me and AD were like locked in. So like no other storyline or match that I had really kind of mattered in terms of what Netflix was portraying.
Okay, so let's go outside into like real life
Yeah.
while you were doing this.
Uh-huh.
Did you tell anybody what you were involved in as far as like the show, like friends, family, anything like that?
But you talking about prior to me?
No, while you were involved, like while
Oh
y'all
yeah.
were, yeah,
Well, of course, your family got to know because they got to come to
they
the.
gotta come to. But so,
Yeah.
what was the reactions? Like, you got 10 days, 9 days, and then you literally are proposing. Like, what was the reaction to that?
Yeah, that was probably so in the experiment. If I could just go back, like there is like this, the test. The biggest test to me is when you're back in the real world because when you're
Mhm.
in pods, like everything's around love. Everything's centered around love. So you're kind of like, all right, cool. Like this, I was locked in the pods. Like I transformed everything. Then you get to DR. I'm still just around AD, but it's like I don't have no phone. I don't have no TV. When you get to the real world, all that's away, and then
Yeah,
your family and friends now are coming in picture. I would say for me, I don't really think my family and friends was that open to the experiment. They were kind of like, Clay, I don't know about this. In 6 weeks. So I would say that definitely was like seeking in my brain because
yeah.
you get out, everybody from, AD, from the production staff to the castmates, it's all around this concept of getting married. And then when you get to the real world where people actually know who you are, they're like, Clay, I don't know about this. So that causes some of the struggle that you have in the third part of the experiment.
And when you let's go now you're in the real world, did you feel any, I guess, that lovey-dovey phase as far as y'all in the pods and when you go to DR, when was it, I guess, when did it hit you first where like, I'm not gonna say you regretted it, you're like, this is real and this is gonna be continuing after the cameras are gone and this is like a marriage. When did it kind of hit you that, it was about to go down?
I feel like when I saw, like when me and AD went to Dominican Republic, and it just a lot of cameras on us, like have a we were trying to have intimate conversations, like how transparent can you be with an intimate conversation when it's like a bunch of cameras in front of you. I would say eventually it got we got comfortable with it, but like I said, the whole concept of the show is around marriage. So I feel like it was hitting me. I would say once I got out the pods, it was hitting me a lot, because even in the pods, my main focus was fall in love with AD. I wasn't even really thinking about the marriage part. Of course, that's the end goal. But I think people kind of misconstrue, like the concept of the show was to make a decision at the altar. So for me, I was taking it step by step. Like at the end of the day, this was a unorthodox process for me. I'm just trying to love AD the best way I can, and we'll worry about the other stuff later. That might not be the best approach, but that's kind of like that was my approach to it. So I would say it hit me in Dominican Republic when you're just around the production and you've seen other people, and I'm around AD 24/7, and all the questions we're getting asked is around our relationship and a potential marriage. So it hit me for sure in Dominican Republic.
Do you think the outcome would have been different if like the presentation of the show is different? Like if you all would have been able to see each other, still have the cameras, but almost like a real world situation to where like you're in a house together, y'all have like those consistent interactions from the start versus how contained it was in the pods.
I'm not mad at the pods. I think the experiment is unique, because it does force you to get into a way of like, hey, she's falling in love with me based off my personality. And I do believe that when you see somebody and you're attracted to them, that's going to heighten it up so much because you fell in love with them personality wise. So I'm not mad at the concept of the pods. I think that, for it was a strong component of me and AD relationship. I know when sometimes we'll have our rocky moments, we always went back to the pods and saying like, hey, like we were able to navigate through this back then, we could do this now. So I think the pods was like, for a lot of the people, I would say it's probably a strong part of our relationship, because that's the initial part. You know what it is when you start dating somebody, and that beginning part, it's like you got
Mhm.
the butterflies, like that's like how the pods was. So, I'm not mad at the way how they displayed it in the pods.
Was it reminiscent of almost having like a long distance relationship to where it's like, you connect with this person, it has to be like very much on a emotional and mental level because the physical connection isn't there?
Yeah, but I feel like when you're in a long distance relationship, you can see them on Instagram or like their social media, and you be anticipating. So I don't even know what she looked like. So that part was a little weird.
Did you try to do any investigation while you were like in the pods? Like, did you try to, they wouldn't.
Couldn't. There's no phones, no TV, there's nothing. Nobody in the staff is gonna show you nothing. I can't be like, yo, type in Amber Desiree. Like they're not gonna do that.
So one of the big parts, especially out of the pods, and as you all, like you said, started to incorporate friends and families, was the incorporation of your family, your parents, and that touched on your relationship with your father, and then also how that affected you and how you viewed relationships. Do you feel like they did a good job presenting that? And then with that, um, do you feel like that's sort of a representation of how a lot of males, especially young Black males, might, how they think about relationships?
Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of did I like how they did it, I think it was cool. I just wish that they probably would have gave my mom and dad a heads up before it dropped. But like, I do think that the conversation was needed for especially the Black community, because I know so many people who've had a divorce and they weren't able to have that closure conversation. And even my dad being there and just being graceful and being accepted, and like what he did after that. Because I feel like if that conversation never happened, my dad would have never apologized to the family. He would have never understood the magnitude of his decisions until it happened on the show for the world to see. So, at the end of the day, like, the world is like, killing the family, but like that brought accountability on my part and also my dad's part. So I'm grateful for that exposure as well, because I think it's made our family dynamic internally way stronger. Now, in terms of what the dynamic for Black people, you know, I always say this, like, you know, we all kind of sometimes come from the same similar backgrounds. Like a lot of us have broken families where our parents got divorced, and, you know, where women are growing up without a father figure, or like, you know, a male that doesn't have a father figure in their life, or maybe it's vice versa. So I do think that we need to talk about it, especially men, which is why I'm advocating for men to go to therapy, because we do need to have that outlet. Because one thing I saw, even when me being expressive, and I even see men being expressive, I just seen J. Cole express that he wasn't feeling, you know, going back and forth with Kendrick Lamar. And then the world is like, you B word, like you, like, well, how can you do this? And it's like every time when a man expresses something emotionally, or this is what we're going through, the world throws stones at you. So that's why I say for Black men and men, period, we probably need to, I advocate therapy, because the therapist is not going to throw stones at you. She's going to understand you. And sometimes we don't need to say everything out to the world, because the world, we're not even meant to hear everyone's opinion. Like everyone got different opinions. So like in social media world, it's a lot of stuff that could dilute you, or pollute your brain. And I do think we need to have that outlet out. So I do think it was good for Black men to see my story. I've been getting a lot of men that walk up to me and say, yo, bro, like, I appreciate everything you did. I have the same struggle. A lot of men have showed support, but it probably doesn't look like that because the men are not in the comment section showing support. They're telling me this in person. So I do think that it was powerful.
Were you in therapy prior to or during the show or during the
No,
taping of the show? So
no,
this,
I would, yeah, I would say that the
so
show kind of made me like, okay, I need to go to therapy.
awesome. As much as you feel comfortable telling, what has that journey been like for you, and especially how it revolves to like how you do look at relationships?
Yeah, it's been good because, you know, one of the things, I started off with a Black male, and he was like more on the religious side, and he kept on like giving me Bible verses. And to me, that wasn't like really, you know, I think it wasn't changing my behavior. It was more so, you know how it is. Like it just wasn't working. So I got a Black woman now. Her name is Miss Tony, and she does homework for me, and she's very like considerate, and she hears what I says and then puts it back. One of the things that she's doing that I like is that she's focusing on my childhood,
Mm.
because a lot of trauma comes from our childhood. So we're getting in there. One of the things I've been realizing is that I've been addicted to success and addicted to this this image. It's like I idolize. I think a lot of Black men as well. We idolize being successful, or money. You know. So what I'm trying to do is take a step back before I idolize success. Where was I? What brought me? What brought Clay happiness as a kid? What made me happy? And trying to get back into that essence, because if you could find that pure happiness, you know, that is gonna, you know, play effect. And I think it's gonna change my overall morale as well. And in terms of relationships, you know, it's just more so unlearning some of the things that I thought was cool, as a man. And one of the things I did think was cool was having a lot of women, you know, because I think there's power with having a lot of women in today's society. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but men would probably agree. If women are attracted to you, there's power amongst the male society, because got a lot of people want to be around you, and women are attracted to men that are desirable. So there's power in that, and I think that I idolize that image. So we're unlearning that now.
So that last statement about the finances when y'all were walking from the altar, that had a little depth in it. It wasn't just a cop out that most people try to say that it was.
You
As
talking
far
about you talking about the scene where I said it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that has some issues behind it as far as like what you held close to you with finances. Um, is there anything that you've learned as far as one post show that going into your next relationship you would change outside of like the whole dynamic, or will you take some of those pieces? Are you going to be a little bit more open um to not being so, I guess, focused on the physical or what a person looks like first? Are you open to more online dating, or is it going to be we're going to therapy tomorrow and we're going to start now? How has that changed the trajectory of your actual dating life?
Well, I'll tell you straight up, I'm still high on the physical. So that that didn't change. But I would say,
She was worried about that. She was worried about that.
and I understand too, because like, you know, I was telling you before, I didn't watch the show. So me watching it back, I'm like, oh, damn, I was kind of tripping. But it is what it is. We lived and learned. But I would say, uh, you know, that's a good question. I don't. at one part I'm like, damn, do I want to have a relationship online? Like, do I even want to like, portray that, or like, do I want to be private? So that's something that I'm kind of battling with right now. Like, how much should I expose on social media now that, people know who I am now? But I would say definitely I want to do, therapy, go to church with whoever my potential wife would be, more so doing some of the things that feed my inner peace, doing those things with her. I think that that would probably make our relationship stronger. That way, if I'm slipping in my road of, whether that's faith, my road to faith, she's going to the same lessons as me. Cause like, hey, Clay, you remember this, and it could kind of check me. I respect women that can challenge me as well, because for me, I'm stubborn, so I need somebody that could be like, oh, hold on, Clay, chill out. And I feel like if I'm doing therapy or maybe going to church with my woman, like those are some times where she could say, hey, we're doing the same thing. You need to pause in this avenue.
Do you and AD have a friendship now? Are y'all still cool talking?
Yeah, we cool. We cool.
Okay, okay. I'll leave that alone. What? So what are you working on now? I know, like you said, you've been advocating for mental health, as far as especially with Black males. What does that look like?
That's something that I'm figuring out as I go. So I'm going on YouTube. I'm speaking about it openly. Right when I finish my session with my therapist, I might hop on a GoPro and just kind of talk about what I learned, and hopefully, people could resonate with that and just say, and appreciate that. I just, I'm not doing it for any type of like, gain. I really just want to have some of those. I really do appreciate some of the conversations I've been having with men that stopped me and just like been opened up to me. So really what it's looking like is it's kind of developing now, but what I'm doing now is just going on YouTube and just talking about my journey. And I do believe that a lot of men saw what I did at the reunion, and they reached out to me. So when I went on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, I feel like we spoke a lot about mental health, and then also males being husbands and stuff like that. So I think it's something that's going to be growing, but what I'm doing right now is just going to therapy and then speaking about my therapy sessions, because maybe that could help somebody else out.
Being that close to marriage, like literally at the altar, did that change your idea of what type of husband you wanted to be in the future, or what you maybe wanted a marriage to actually look like for you?
So my best friend actually got married in October, and I think that watching his wedding gave me an idea of how I want to show up as a husband, how I want my wedding to be like, and all that. So I think his wedding showed me, like, it made me realize and it validated that I do want to be a husband, just of the love that I saw between them two, because even with my wedding, you know, it's a bunch of it's a bunch of cameras there. Like, I struggle with the show, the morale, like just the concept of like, okay, what is reality? What is TV? And I was constantly battling that throughout the whole show, because there were just some things that I just felt like, it was TV. Like it's not real, but but the experiment is real. The experiment in terms of you falling in love is real. I'm talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff
Yeah.
kind of threw me off a little bit, but the experiment is definitely 100% real. But yeah, I think my best friend wedding was the biggest teacher to like let me know and validate that I want to be a husband.
Your next relationship, are you going to be ultra private?
That's something I don't know. I might. I might. I don't
No
know.
social media. No, no.
Hey,
She can't be a vlogger. It's not a YouTube situation.
she
None of
could be. She just can't. Maybe I shouldn't be in there for the first year. We might need to ease it off. Because I feel like the next girl I pop out with, we're gonna be on TMZ.
I was gonna ask, have you received any like weird advances since then? Like, since your face has kind of became a
Yeah.
staple of social media?
One of the things that I've been doing is not being too like, gun hold on my DMs and like looking at all the messages that I've been getting. Quite frankly, I feel like I was like battling with depression, so I wasn't even in the state of mind to respond to some certain
You want to
DMs.
talk about that?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. What was that? Well, of course, post show. What was the cause of that, do you think?
So it's my first time ever being in the limelight. I was kind of alluding to it before, where now me expressing myself, the whole world pretty much could now chime in and give you your opinion. What I was doing first, because I'm heavy on social media, like with my business, I'm constantly on social media. I'm reacting to people, making sure I'm responding. I had a YouTube page before this, for my business, so I always read comments. So that transition from going from, what I was doing in my regular life to now the show's out. And, now I'm still addicted to, on Instagram, I'm looking at comments and now I'm like, people are saying negative things about me. And I believe that in my life, I've always had a solid foundation, always had good family, good friends. So in a sense, I'm living in a delusional bubble, because the people who love me, they tell me they love me. And not that I can't do no wrong, but it's like they're protecting me in that circle. So now I'm exposed to everybody else, and now everybody else thinks I'm, no, they don't look at me like my foundation does. They look at me like a different guy. So that was hurtful to deal with that. And I would say I was depressed for like the first 2 weeks. Then I was good. Then the wedding scene happened, and I was already accustomed to not looking at my phone and the comments. But what was happening was that my number got leaked, and then I got bad business reviews. So it was affecting my personal life. So I'm just like, yo, what is going on? Like, honestly, I didn't think I made a decision at the altar, whether you like it or not. But in terms of what the experiment wanted me to do, I did all those things. You know what I'm saying? And I fell in love with AD. Did I finish the job? No. But I didn't even think I was going to be at that point. So it's like me, I'm like, I'm giving myself grace, but the whole world is like, no, you suck. You're the worst. And that was tough to take on the chin. But next time, if I ever have an opportunity where the world will see me, I think I'll be able to handle it a lot better. And I'll just chop it up to depression too. Like, hey, at the end of the day, this is something that I wasn't used to, wasn't prepared for, and it caught me off guard. But I'm good now. That my family came down, they supported me, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of support post show.
With the finishing of the job aspect, do you think if there was less pressure on the get married, but more curation of the have two people form a solid relationship on love and then let them carry out that part on their own, do you think outcomes could have been different?
I think me and AD would probably still be together if it wasn't the marriage. Like, you got to get married in 6 weeks because I fell in love with her. Like, we were like
Mhm.
that was my girl. So, and then when you say no at the altar, I understand AD not wanting to get in a relationship with me again. Like I said it before, I underestimated the magnitude of that decision because it's like her family comes out and I say no. It's embarrassing, quite frankly. So I felt as though if we didn't have that wedding, then me and AD would probably still be together right now. But that doesn't make good TV. So
So from a Black male, I want you to go back to your perspective of how us as women in relationships or even single or dating can make those spaces where men feel safe to be open, to be
Mhm.
vulnerable, to say, I love you, but I have a question, or I'm not ready, or this or that. What do you feel, especially in dynamics of people of color dating, because it's a little bit different? What do you think needs to be done to kind of create those safe spaces?
I'm trying to give you an answer because here's one thing, right? I don't want to. Black women on social media, I would say, are very opinionated, and it could kind of make you feel as though that, like, as a black man, you don't really have support from black women. But in my real life, black women supported me and lifted me up throughout this whole thing. So I'm trying to separate social media to what reality is. I do think black women that are in your foundation give you a safe space. I don't think there's any women in my life that when I express things that brought sadness to me, depression, the black women in my life has always showed up and answered the bell. So on social media, it doesn't look like that because I think that a lot of people who are the ones commenting are hurt, and the hurt people are the loudest. But the black women in my life, and I'm sure in my friends' lives, like the black women that I see visibly, they show up. So I think they are. I just think that maybe those that show up need a bigger platform because I think the ones that are negative are elevated. And then I'm a well-read guy. I do think that the media wants to split black households up together. I think that's been something that has been, indoctrinated for a while, since the Willie Lynch theory, since the Cops Battalion, magazines. I do believe that separating the black household is something that was well calculated, so you know, I'm not going to blame black women for that. I think black women do show up for black men. It's just not talked about.
Awesome. I like that answer. So what are we doing next? So Love is Blind is over. You're not going back in any pods anytime soon.
No.
You're on your healing journey, which is
Yeah.
great. How's business going? What are we looking for, forward to for the rest of this year? And would you ever do reality again?
Yeah. Will I ever do reality again? Maybe, maybe. I'm not opposed to it. I know they beat me up pretty badly on Love is Blind, but I think I'm a tough guy. Like, you roll over, you take the punches, and you kind of go jump right back. I thought it was a cool, process experiment. So, would I do a love show again? I don't think
No,
so.
no.
But you know, but maybe another show. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say no, because you never know, opportunity might come about. But what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
Like, what are you working on now? Like in real life?
Real life. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I got my 9 to 5. I'm in tech sales and I got a new job. So that has been guns and blazing. So I've been trying to focus on that because that is my main bread and butter. And one thing I didn't want to do was let the show or anything else distract me from my 9 to 5. That's the most important thing right now in the docket because that funds my business. So my business is a weekend thing. So I just got another boat. So we got 3 boats now. We got 5 jet skis. So we outside this summer, wave sandy water rental. So we're getting actually we had our first rental last week. We're gonna have our first boat rental this upcoming week. We're gonna have a loaded weekend. So I'm excited about that. So that's really the main focus is the business, my 9 to 5, and then all the other stuff comes after that. And all that stuff is I'm grateful for, but I'm getting back into the essence of, who I was before the show, and my job mattered, my business mattered. And honestly, those 2 things take up a lot of my time, so that's probably what I'm focused on. I am trying to be more content savvy, trying to post more, trying to get on YouTube, trying to figure out what my lane is. So this is like a pilot period for me where I'm figuring out. And it's like weird because it's like a lot of pressure. People like, you got to hit when the iron's hot. But if I missed it, I miss it. I miss it. Like it wasn't meant to be. I'm only going to chase what's organically meant for me, So that's what I'm doing.
And that wasn't your goal anyway. Think one other guy said I didn't come on here to be like a C-list actor or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
not, I'm not trying to be. Last question, because I know one of your homework assignments from your therapist is
Mhm.
getting back into, touch with what made Clay happy as a child. So what have you found to be your favorite inner child activity that kind of brings you pure joy?
When I just think about Christmases and family outings with the family and just like the natural banter that we have, and it just makes me feel like, what all I need is just to be around my foundation, whether that's my friends. It was actually funny. I had some middle school friends pull up at my house when I went to go visit my mom for her birthday on March 1st. And these guys, I kind of lost contact with them in college. Like in high school. I got popular and you know how it is. Like you shift friends, like I kind of completely my image changed. Then my middle school friends came and it just reminded me of my childhood, like just the conversation we have, just like the easygoingness of it. So it just made me realize, okay, cool. Like, money doesn't bring me happiness. It's really the pure joy and of love and the energy that I have around me. That's what brings me happiness. Like just being around my family, being around my friends, that makes me happy. Like doing activities with them, just kicking it, grabbing a drink at the house and not even nobody seeing me and just reminiscing experiences, memories, that makes me happy. So I would say me going back into my childhood, it was kind of just thinking about, okay, like what was the pure joy moments that I had. And I was like, oh, wow, it was around my family. Oh, it was around my friends when I didn't even have money. Like those were the happiest I ever was. So that's what I took from that.
With no cameras around.
With
With
no
no,
cameras.
okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate this. I hope those messages and comments get a little bit nicer after this because you deserve it. So whether
Appreciate
it's on TV or not, it was a pleasure. You and your getting all up in your business this season. So thank you so much
it.
for the TV, but you have a great day.